It's great to be back in this tax series with you again, talking about some things that we help clients with. And another topic that we often get asked about with business owners, they've heard a little bit about it, maybe enough to just pique their interest. Maybe you're watching this, you've never heard about it, but R&D credits. Talk a little bit about your experience with those with clients, and what you know about them and how that might be beneficial to some of the folks who are watching.
Yeah, absolutely, Drew. Yeah, so I can speak to this a little bit because I actually went through it for us here at Instrumental Wealth. It's a very, very involved process. R&D tax credits, just to sort of talk through this, is there is a tax credit that was established as part of the recent tax reform done in 2017 is when it took place, specifically around companies that are spending their time to do research or development. And there are tax credits for that. I'm certainly not the expert in this, and I would highly, highly, highly advise those that are watching this that have an interest to talk to their CPA, and particularly if there's an expert in that CPA firm, particularly around the R&D tax credit. But it's an activity-based credit, and there's basically a four-part test around this. And so the first part is it's got to be technology in nature, right? So like researching whether a software, as an example, you creating a piece of software would be an example of meeting one of those four-part tests. Number two is it's got to be permitted purpose. So development of a process. It's got to have incremental improvement to your business. The third piece is it's got to be technical. It's got to have technical uncertainty. So you have to go into the project not knowing if it will actually work or not, right? Hence why it's called research and development. And there has to be some type of experimentation. Those are basically the four-part test in order to see if this qualifies. So as an example, one of the things that we did at Instrumental Wealth over the last several years was building a custom piece of software that allowed for us to incorporate really all aspects of our business from a operational perspective, a service perspective, the work that an advisor does with a client to really bring everything into one integrated piece of software that really allows for those different pillars that we have here in our organization to really sort of flow together much easier than it was. And so there was a lot of time that we spent researching what options were out there. Did we have to build something from scratch? We ultimately did have to build something from scratch. So there was a lot of time that we had invested in the research side of it. We ultimately also spent a fair amount of money, as you can imagine, when you're talking about building a custom piece of software like that. There's a lot of time involved in it, both internally as well as us hiring an external developer to write the code. And so, all of that, as an example, was part of research and development. And so the process for us, Drew, to answer your question, was very, very involved as far as documenting all of that, right? Who spent what amount of time, what part of their salary was, what was their salary, and what percentage of their time was allocated towards that. Certainly the development company was part of that. They also needed to be in the United States. So that's another key piece, is if they're offshoring development to India or some other country where software development and code writing is prevalent. Unfortunately, those costs can't be part of that credit. So there's all sorts of technical nuances that I learned personally going through the process. And so it's definitely worth exploring. So if you're watching this video and you're like, hey, we did something like that from a software development perspective, or we were researching a product, some type of technology, as an example, potentially there can be a tax credit for this that can be beneficial. So I would definitely, if you're watching this video and you're like, hey, I think I might qualify, I'd reach out to your CPA. I'd tell them, hey, I heard about this. or her, I heard about this. I'm not sure if this would work for me or not, but do you have anyone in your firm or an expert you could refer me to that could potentially do some sort of case study to see if I'm eligible or not? That's what I would advise.
Yeah, thanks for walking through that and having firsthand experience, having sat in some of those meetings as well. I know, one of those bullet points is you have to not know if it's going to work. And we certainly had a few of those meetings, right?
Oh, yeah.
Can we do this? Can we do this? How does this work? We certainly don't write code. So it was a lot of R&D and time. And well, thanks for sharing that. I mean, that's a very good example. So for anybody who's watching this, just as Dave said, if you're interested in learning more about that, or you want to partner to talk with your CPA and see if there's a case study capability that you might be eligible for this, again, we talk a lot about turning over rocks, seeing what's under them, and maybe there's something there for you. If not, at least we learned a little bit and how it might benefit in the future. So again, if you're interested in that or any other topics that we've talked about, again, reach out to us on our website, instrumentalwealth.com, set an appointment with one of the advisors, reach out on social media. We'd love to connect with you and see if we might be a good fit to help with some of your tax questions or any planning that you might be involved in. Have a great day.